than to explore shadow puppetry and to be here down by the cinema to see the three-dimensional shadow puppets. I've got a whole vision of what I want to do when I get home, and my brother is going to be contacted shortly on making me a new stage. So I'm so excited. But the students need to get involved. They need to tell stories. They need to do things. And we have these supplies already in our schools. We have transparencies in our schools. We have the transparencies that go through the copy machine in our schools. And come to find out,
storage closet.
Yes, they're in storage closets. And come to find out, we have these lovely boxes of frames hiding in places. And even if you don't and you find one, you can trace it and make another one, because that's what we have. So I found boxes of these and people were giving them away. And after I saw what the puppeteers did and what they were doing, I said, no more. I said, I'm telling people to quit giving these things away. So what I have done is I have a shower curtain. This is a white, it's a thicker shower curtain so that you don't see through it when you just stand. And I put it on PVC pipe. So I just went and made what I wanted to, and I rolled this up and taped it so that it was nice and snug and made two little columns for it to go through. I usually take my zip ties and zip tie it at the top. So that's nothing but that. If you wanted to make it on a smaller scale, you could make it with a clothes rack, one of those $10, $15 clothes racks, and you could cut your screen in half and go from there. Or you can just do it on a wall. The greatest thing about using the overhead projector is that you can use it from the front or the back. As teachers, we always stood in the front with the projector right next to us, shining it that way. And even if I put it right here and turned this way, you wouldn't be looking at me, you'd be looking at what's there. But students who like to present like to be hidden. And I think that's really powerful, because you don't have to be in front of the camera to make a point about what you're trying to get across. I just finished this project with a special ed class, and we took it to the 3rd umpteenth level, so I will tell you about that at the end. Just remind me to tell you about that next level, because it was unbelievable. So I started doing this, shadow puppets with the simplistic things that you normally think of. Going to the dollar store and getting a bunch of skewers, and if you have little kids, you might want to just finger clip the little edges off so that they don't use them. But these skewers make the best sticks for the shadow puppets. And you can take any outline of anything and decide what you want. So here is an outline, a die cut. So this is a die cut of what? It looks like a dog. I'm holding it. Okay, it is a dog. And he can go on the screen. Okay, these are your die cuts. We have the die cut machines already. I'm not using anything for that overhead right now except for its light. So technically I could do this with anything that has a light shining on it. The best shadow stories I've seen have been done with flashlights lately. They're amazing the way the flashlights work. So I have this stick, and all I need to do is decide all of the different things that I need to do or want to do with it. So here's a flower. Yeah, the die cut with the flower, okay?
And you can buy them pre-made.
And you can buy them pre-made. Here's the inside of that flower. Okay? Now, I can, as a student, I can go ahead and use the screen and get below it. Okay, if I wanted to be behind it and do what you consider your traditional shadow puppets. And I do the sticks in a couple of different ways. Okay, if I wanted this flower to start growing, it can come and it can grow. And then if something else needed to grow with it, then I have other things that can grow with it, and I'm making a story from behind and using the overhead as the light source. Okay, but I took this to the next level. Because what's going to happen inevitably when you have 14 kids on the floor? Right? You know what's going to happen. It's all going to topple over because somebody kicked this stand and somebody kicked that stand. Well, you don't have to do it this way. You can take it back to the overhead. And I'm just going to talk loudly, but I'm going to show you what you can do with this. So this is the same thing. thing. This is the flower pot cutout that goes with the flowers. Okay, we know what a flower pot looks like. And I can take this flower pot and put it up into the shadow. So now I even have a shadow within a shadow. This is your stationary shadow. I have more room now for this flower to grow. Okay, so I can have the shadow grow there. But if I take the shadow away from here and put it on the transparency itself and turn it into a colored transparency, then my flower begins to grow. Okay? That is nothing more than a transparency flower colored with permanent markers with a base. So I can take in my classroom and I can now decide that I want to tell the story of the buzzing bumblebees. One buzzing bumblebee buzzing by a flower. He buzzed so loud, everyone make a buzzing sound, that along came another. Okay. Two buzzing bumblebees buzzing by a flower. They buzzed so loud that along came another. So see, now I'm telling a story with the overhead transparencies that the students have colored. I can use all kinds of things. And you remember that die-cut dog? I mean, if he still wants to be in the story, you can bring him up close for the traditional shadows, which have no color. However, even if you put these through your copy machine or you have the kids color them, if you hold them close enough, the colors will be a minute washout of color, and it still makes a nice color. So we've got those kinds of things. I found then that if I use this, and this is what one of my groups of students did, and I use this for them to trace what the dimensions are for the transparency overhead and top. And I said, whatever you put needs to stay in here. You can then create your own background. And we're not coloring them, but we're going to look at the shapes. These are some that are a little more professionally done, and this is nothing but a piece of paper. Okay, so here we have the house. We can then take the house, and it could be the Brementown musicians. I can go ahead and bring my little people in here if I wanted my big people or my little people. And we're going to go walking.
Can I ask you a question?
Always.
Do you see what we see, but inside out?
Yep.
Whatever. That's good.
That and through the top like you would be a teacher. So, you know, here's a girl, she's walking along, and down from the roof, and I have it turned the wrong way, comes the squirrel. So here's the little squirrel, and out, oh wait, it's a sunny day, I forgot to tell you that. It's a sunny day, and, okay, where are you? I can't find the dog. Oh, that's okay, but you know what? It's such a sunny day that the butterflies are flying. Ooh, you're flying in the sky. You're a flying squirrel now. So it's such a sunny day that the butterflies have decided to come out, and that they made her very happy because the butterfly landed on her nose. Whee, I'm so happy. So we have butterflies. So there's lots of different things you can do. Oh no, it's becoming a very angry storm and it's taking the sun away. And oh no, the squirrel jumped down. So there's lots of fun ways to do this. And I have learned that, here's a tree. Oh, here's my doggie, and here's my little girl. So here we have these little people coming out.
Hi, how are you today?
So it's really a simple concept, but isn't it different from what you've ever thought of before in using what we have? The only thing that I caution you about is that you can't use water-based markers. You do have to use Sharpies, because you get a deeper color. And this flower, if you look at the flower, the color difference in those, the difference is that you color on one side or you color on both sides. So when you color on one side of the Sharpie, you get a light green, but when you turn your transparency over and you color the back side, you're going to get a darker green. Now, since then, I had a Cricut. I bought a Cricut when I don't know, it was on sale and it just looked cool because I liked paper dolls. Okay, that was really it. You know, a Cricut is an electronic die cut maker, and it has little cartridges. You put the little cartridges in. But I have found that even in die cut machines, we have learned that paper is not the only thing that go in die cuts. What also goes in die cuts is foam, you know, pieces of foam, and you know, thicker paper, different things like that. Well, in the die cut machine, as well in my electronic Cricut, I have learned that the the little notebooks that kids have that are all the colors that are see-through and things, that you can get when they go through the Cricut and or die cut machine. I know I just had the spider. Where did the spider go? Here he is. That spider came off the die cut machine, and then I just let the transparency be on top of it. So when he was originally cut out, he looked like this. See? So that's the die cut, and then you can just glue it on the transparency and glue them on there and do what you want. Let's see if I can find the whole set.
What do you use to glue onto the transparency?
Just glue sticks that dry. Yeah, just glue sticks that dry. So if we wanted to talk about the life cycle of a tree, and I don't have it all, it must have gotten lost, but that's okay. There's that die cut of the tree. Now if I want to mix up all of the tools and technologies, then I could bring in, let's put my tree up in the air for now, so you can see, you know, that you've got your animals and your colors and things like that, all part of your story. Okay. Okay. Well, that's the easy stuff. Yes, ma'am.
Since it's so light, would it make a difference whether you put that tree directly on the overhead projector or above it for size? Does that affect the...
It does, and that's something we got into with my special needs classes, because we started talking about the fact that this is a kangaroo. And it's a little kangaroo. Now, if I wanted him to be bigger, we talked about how you had to bring him back. And, you know, closer, we talked about that. We also talked about, let me use this dinosaur because he's really cool. See? The dollar stores have these die-cut cardboard thingies now, so I like those. And you just stick a stick on them, and they can hold the stick out or, you know, hold the stick from the bottom. And I started mixing this up, okay? So after I started putting all of this together, here's my tape. I said, well, you know what? Let's mix the art forms from the plain transparency with colors as well as this kind of thing. And so I had kids doing multiple layers of stories. And I might have some kids back here on this background area on the transparent overhead projector. And here we have a background, and then while they're back here, oops, this is under the sea. Oh well, this dinosaur is going to be a sea dinosaur. And then I have kids over here with colors and jellyfish and things like that, while kids are over here, you know, and playing here. Therefore, you get your colors and you get to play that way as well. Okay, but I wanted to take this is the discovery component that I decided to do and take this to the next level because, you know, in that school where everything is getting discarded, we have the overhead transparencies that go through the copy machine. And some of us, you know, are lucky enough to use colored copy machines and color printers. So I started researching, let me leave this up here. I started researching pictures and images on Discovery, and I took them and I went ahead and printed them. This is a picture that I printed on the transparency.
That will go through a color printer?
It'll go through a color printer if you get the transparencies that are made for them. You have to get the right transparencies. These I printed on my laser jet, okay, and I just attached it to the plastic cardboard frames, but I don't have to hold it like this for you to see it anymore. I can take it back here. Okay, and it takes the next level up into this, and then if I wanted to, if I had the dinosaur is going to be the guy that goes in it for today. I can even take this dinosaur that was over there, and I can go ahead and move him into the movie as well. And he can become part of the movie. So I have the ability with my Discovery Ed images to go ahead and print some really cool background images and do some layering, because this does teach the concept of layering. Especially, this is great for upper, middle, and high school students as well, because it teaches the layering so that when you get to the Photoshop and you get to the fancy programs, what it means to layer images and take bits and pieces of the layers. When we were we did the Renaissance Fair, we did the medieval castle, so we could go there. Oh, we had a lovely jousting match. Don't forget about the joust. And so then you bring in your characters and you go, well, the dinosaur's the closest one here, so he's going to turn him the other way. He's going to come in and go, woo! Can you see?
Do you record then? Do you record from this?
Where do I record? Right, from the front. I record from the front. If I want to record from the front, you can set it up back here, but there's so much going on back here. I'll let you come back here in a few minutes. You can see my mess, because when I do stuff, it becomes scattered and discombobulated.
But you can't see it from this side.
But you can't see it from this side, and that's the beauty of this. I saw this done on a stage where all the puppeteers were sitting on the floor. The overhead projector was shining up, and they had a big white screen. So they had just had a big couple white shower curtains put together and really close. Everything was all over the stage, but nobody could see them, and nobody could see it because they were behind. And so that's really nice. Now, don't forget that you can do the same thing with letters, and these are pre-cut this way with the die cuts, but even if you wanted the students to talk about words and naming and identification, so if I wanted to go to the forest, upside down, no, that's right, okay, if I wanted to go to this is the swamp, they might come in with some words and talk about swamp, and so you have to teach them about mirroring also.
So mirrors are actually backwards.
Right now, I've set it on there backwards, so it looks like whatever. And so I can teach mirroring as well, so that if you're doing an upper level art class and you're talking about what it looks like from one side or the other, you can do that. Now, this swamp, it may need a boat, so we can put a boat in there. Oh, here's a snake, because swamps always have snakes. And if you put them on sticks, or on even clear straws, you can do that. But then I said, you know what, I really don't want the stick to be shown. You see, it looks like he's got a little problem there. Okay? So the transparency, when it's cut into strips, becomes a handle. So this is the transparency piece, and you saw a little bit of it. It wasn't as noticeable. But if I hook this onto the boat, do you see that it may be disappearing parts with the boat? And when I push that boat along, let me take it on there. I push the boat along, you won't see my hand or my stick in there because it's already going to be part of this. And then if I wanted to actually color bits and pieces of it, it'll go.
Connie, would a clear straw work, or would that
A clear straw does work, but I always cut them in half because when they're doubled, it gives more of a shadow. I just cut up a piece of the transparency.
What did you call the other thing?
A clear straw?
Clear straw.
Yeah, a clear straw. what was another thing that I used to do? You can put it on fishing line. You know, put things on fishing line and then drag it across. I have also learned that the transition, you saw a lot of the transition being white screen and hello and white screen and hello. If you have two overhead projectors at an angle with they're both shining on the same screen, your transitions can become clearer and easier because you can take one off while the other one comes on and they overlap each other, so the transitions and stories become very good. You can take this to another level with backgrounds and things going on by taking the table and flipping it over, and if you have hand puppets, your kids can be in front of all of this as well. So the story's moving back here and it's going on here, which is what I did with this, what I was going to tell you with my upper kids. She wanted all puppetry in the same story. So we started off with our story, and it was White Fang. We were retelling White Fang and different things. So we started off with this. The kids drew background scenes, and so they had all this done. We had some puppets that came from the front so that they could have some hands-on things. But then, what would be the next level of this instead of just having a static image? A movie. Think about taking your projector that's on the cart and moving it from the front and putting it to the back and putting it back here and having a movie or a map that's walked through. And while this map is moving, you have your stick puppet, your story, the video actually playing of the shark swimming, and then you have the stick puppets like this going through it, so it's an interactive snowstorm. Okay? Could it be a PowerPoint with all kinds of pictures changing at a certain time? Yeah, because anything that you shine that's light or lit, it'll come through here. So you could have the movie. You could have the kids running outside taking pictures, and then the story is from this perspective here, where it's just the shadow puppets playing in the field. Any other questions so far? Okay, if you want to, if you will come back here, I will show you what it looks like from this side now, so you can see, because right now it's a total chaotic mess. So are the screens, the little transparency screens. And even in this image right here, I'm going to flip it backwards. Can anybody on the other side read this since it's backwards on my side?
407 years ago.
Okay, wouldn't it be the coolest thing to have the silhouette of Abraham? Who needs to say this? Abraham. Okay, a silhouette of his face, and you disconnect the jaw on the silhouette so that you pull the bottom down as that's being read. Okay, so you could put that right here or whatever. These are the backgrounds that I made. I didn't make these. I bought these in this Shadow Theater kit. Where is she? And I went to the bookstore, and it was red dot clearance. I bought 2 of these. And what was cool about this is it came with the flashlight, these background scenes, and then it also came with some of the cardboard cutouts, and like I told you, book lights if you were in my green screen section. So after I learned this, I was like, the easy thing I can do is I get those scrapbooking things, if you ever get, and sometimes on the scrapbooking sets, you get cutouts. And we have the strip cut outs too with our die cut machines. You can make your own by taking the frame and then putting in, your fun scissors and cutting out strips of paper to make your frames and things. And then when you go ahead and put in your other things, you're making yourself a picture. Like, see here, this one, the coyote is missing. I don't know where he went, but he's in another bag. But here, I'm setting my scene. And if I wanted to set my scene in the wilderness, so I've got lots of things going on, and then when I take my transparencies, they all have a handle. That's the hardest thing to figure out is, at first I just cut out the image. And then I realized, well, how am I going to put the image on there? My hand. So then I learned that if I leave a piece and I need to go from one side to the other, this is where your students cooperate. See, it looks like it's moving. And so I'm holding these handles, and then these people, this one needs to be longer, can actually come in from the side, and if it was longer, she could interact with the story this way. There's my other little boy. And see, he has a side handle and a top handle. So what's great about transparencies is you don't have to worry which way they're going because you can flip them. So if he wants, I need him to come from this side of the screen, I would get him ready, go ahead and pull him in, and then when I was ready for him to walk through, he would walk through over here. And of course I bent that one.
And he's colored on both sides?
He is colored on both sides. I also just was playing with the transparencies. There's lots of puppet templates online, and I found Pinocchio. He's one of the jointed arm guys, and I found him online. I have to look. There's a whole bunch of, if you look online for felt board patterns, felt board patterns are awesome. And so I found this one, and I got these little brads because that's what it was for. It was to run it through the copy machine for the kids to cut out. I did lose the other part of his leg, so he's a little discombobulated. So I'll just do this and you won't notice. But then I just put the mini brads, and I can still use him by putting transparency pieces on here. And now I have what you would consider a rod puppet on this board, and he can do what I want him to do because I can be over here behind the scenes. So, and then if he needs to be in a story, then you just add your background and he's in a story. You know, so it's really up to what I do is based on taking and finding the things that we already have and repurposing them. These are the little folders, you know, that you have that the kids put their papers home, that they send home and your parents sign. I took it apart. So there is the yellow sun from the folder. If you feel it, you'll see that which kind of folder it is. I didn't bring the folders either. But this is the flower pot. So it's just the simple flower pot, and then I just took this little guy. When I entered my flower, I turned it sideways so you didn't see it. And when it was thick enough, it just started coming up. And as I let the flower grow, I pushed the thing down. This one's colored on both sides. You can throw regular things in there. It doesn't have to be colored. And students still get the idea of what's going on. But anything you can go and put into Crickets. Now, then I started playing at the dollar store some more because I like to play. And I found, you know, these little sticker guys, and I thought, well, maybe they would work. They didn't.
They don't?
They see how he doesn't work very well. It's not transparent enough, either that or there. It's too thick for the light to come through. But I can, and you can see this, and they're more flimsy that if you put them on the stick, let's look here. If you take them to the front, you can get part of it to come through, but it's just, you see the difference in the color?
Oh, yeah.
So if you get these and you can put them on a straw, then you can get color, because sometimes it's not about where, it's about where the light hits the color and the amount of light that comes through. So you can use, and this is, even if I put this on cardstock, I've had the color come through because the light forces the color through the cardstock. Yes, you can. Yeah.
And then cut that out.
See, and then you can do it that way. Yeah, that's a good idea. I never thought of that. Yay! And put it on there. So those are just those sticker packs, and that gives you some other colors and fun things to work with.
I mean, what about reprinting it on through a copier or just do transparent?
Yeah, you could. Well, see, these were just stickers that I bought, little clingy, you know, the clean window stickers. And that's what all that was. And that's a great idea to just cling it to the transparency and cut it out to get some stability.
Especially
It's a
after.
cling-on. Would it just cling to the shower curtain?
It would and it wouldn't. It might peel off.
So I was thinking you
See,
would.
it doesn't get a good stick, but it gets a good stick to the plastic. so the plastic will hold it. Oh, and some really fun things I've learned. I've learned to try everything. I did, the story. It's the little kid's story about the dragon that didn't fit in because instead of blowing fire, he blew bubbles. Okay, if you blow bubbles, they look so awesome behind here. So, and if I had them. Flashlights, if you take flashlights and you have glittery kind of things and you can reflect glitter to make it look like it's snowing. It just takes a matter of, what will work and what won't work and then finding the intricate little pieces to make it work. So these, this, and then, these are my rainbow frames. I know some of you that work with special ed have colors, transparencies. So if you wanted this scene, well, that one, if you wanted it to be in the water, you could go ahead and change the color of the information that's going on. I bought this one online. This is just the computer output. These were rainbow frames. So if you want it to, it's a stormy night, you can also teach colors in the fact that when you start overlaying colors, you can make it look different for the type of ambiance you're looking for. If you want it to be, and to multiple layers of different things, add different dimensions. So that's how I started doing this, and then pulling Discovery into it, and images, movies, but yet it's hands-on. It's taking that traditional form of puppetry and taking it to a different level.
Now making this, did you ever make it that you could erase this and have like another bar?
Yes. And see, I have one that's a cloth too. I just made one that's a cloth and I sewed the edges up so that it just fit within all the holes. The shower curtain works the best. After a while you don't notice all of the folds on the other side and it just kind of blends in. You can, take a hairdryer to it and it will straighten out the folds. But I just took this one and rolled up the sides and just duct tape for right now because it was easier. I have cut it apart. I have made more holes and used the pulse tabs, what are those? Zip ties. And that's usually what I do at the top. These PVC pipes are multiple uses, and I have taken the sticky Velcro and put that on here. And so this is the smooth side. The hook and eye side is the side that has other things, so it might have another curtain that goes on these for different things.
How big is this one?
This, I don't know. I made the square and then I fit the shower curtain on it. I didn't really measure because when I originally had these PVC pipes made, it was for a nice large display public theater that I could change into different levels. So it's all come together with what I've had that I made out of one cut. And when I went to Lowe's, I said, I need 4 pipes that are this long and this long and this long. They cut them for me right there in Lowe's, and then I didn't have to do anything. And my son was little at the time, and he loved playing with the pipes and throwing marbles around and making marble tracks while we were waiting. So it was so much fun. But,
PVC cutters are not hard to use.
yeah, and they're not hard to use. I've taken a hacksaw to them and cut them outside. It's just that if you have them cut them for you, then you don't have all of the PVC pieces flying because it does splinter.
But the cutter is so,
Yeah.
it's about a $15 cutter.
Yeah.
But it just, you just clench it and it just cuts it without any of that flying. So the images of something.
That's also great for green screening.
Yeah.
What was it? What is it?
That setup?
Yeah, I mean, you can, the PVC pipes are long.
Green screen.
Yeah, if you make it, and if you don't want to make it with a PVC pipe, go and get you one of those,
We made one for green screen.
clothes hanging rods that are on
it's
wheels.
portable then.
And I use a lot of these that are the clothes hanging racks that are on wheels, and I just take the wheels off and move it around, and I use that until I got. Yeah, the clothes hanging racks that are on wheels that you pull around, it'll fit right on there, and they take apart and fold up and go everywhere. So I use a lot of that stuff because I already have it, and I can fold it up and put it in a closet. So.
When you do the video, do you project from behind or?
I usually do the video from the front.
When you're
Oh,
showing-
project from the back. I do the video from the back too, so I just, overlay it over turn the overhead off and put the projector from the back so that the kids can stand in the front or from the sides and then go with their video that way. But if I'm taping it and I want to video archive it, I tape it from the front, so what the camera sees is just I can put this in the frame and then it stays put. On my website, if you just look up Tradigital Storytelling with a TRA, digital storytelling on my wiki, there is a swimming project that's done like this, and the kids did a retelling of swimming. It is so cool. We did one where it was shadow puppets like this, and then one where it's shadow puppets over here. And the kids figured out that they wanted, you know how swimming comes together and makes one big fish? They cut out all of these little fish, they put them on contact paper in the form of the fish, ran it through the laminator so that it would all stay stuck. Put 2 sticks on one on each side, and when they put Swimmy, the big fish, behind it, they moved their sticks like this, and it looked like the little fishies were swimming as a big fish. But the transparency going through, the contact paper going through the laminator still allowed it to stay in that right shape, didn't peel or stick because contact paper sticks to everything, and it held beautifully and it didn't melt. So it was so good. So if you get a chance, go to the wiki and look at the Tradigital Storytelling section and look for the Swimmy projects, because that shows all different forms of puppetry, including marionettes that the students made for swimming. So
Can you tell me the wiki?
it's Connie.
Is it on your weekly?
No.
It's on the blog discovery.
Yeah, it's on the attendee information blog, but it's like Connie minus workshops at wikispaces.com. But I will put it on, the notes to go along with this session. And if you just, like I said, if you just do a search for Tradigital Storytelling or green screen and miniature, everything comes up that way. So I'm not one of the only few, I guess, because you can't search for it and get multi-million search answers. So, any other questions?
Thank you.
Is it something you can use?
Yes.
Something you can do?
Yes.
Any grade, right? Yeah. So go back to your schools and find all those overhead projectors that are sitting in the discard pile.
I already texted my custodian, though, we got any of these hanging around?
Yeah. And find in your media center or in your classroom closets all the hordes of boxes of transparencies. So,
Thank you so much.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm a media specialist, and we have them all packed in storage, and we're moving to a new building, so I'm trying to do this so teachers.
and even if you give the teachers back one and they make a story corner, it's the best thing, because you can do is shine it to the wall.